Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS in.form. I'm your host, Bill Potter. Tonight we're going to do something a little different. We'll call it a spotlight, where we're going to take a look at a business or something like that and find out more about it by having the people tell you on site what they do and what they're making. And today, our topic will be Monkey Hollow Winery. Dan Hedinger, Sr., Dan is the co-owner of Monkey Hollow Winery. He's going to tell us a bit about the local business history and the process they use to make wine. Here now is Dan Hedinger, Sr. from Monkey Hollow Winery.
My name is Dan Hedinger. I'm the senior partner here at Monkey Hollow Winery with my 3 children and my wife. We started the winery, or the grapes, in 2003 when my children came to me and said, "Hey Dad, we want to plant 5 acres of grapes." My comment was, "Hey kids, you're crazy." A little bit of history about this area and grapes. The monastery, or the Arch Abbey, they grew grapes up at Monte Cassino, and then of course they made the wine at the Abbey for their own use. They went out of the business. They didn't grow the grapes anymore. And so we started then again, like I said, in 2003. Then in 2009, I told my kids, "Hey, you either build a winery or I'm going to take a bush hog to the grapes." Because at that point, it takes about 8 years for grapes to really produce. And before that, we were selling them to other wineries, and grapes at that time were only bringing like 35 cents a pound. And you really can't grow grapes at 35 cents a pound. So they built the winery, and amazingly enough, after they built it and the people started coming, we didn't have to take money out of our pocket anymore to put into the winery. It was taking care of itself. When we picked the grapes, the first year we picked grapes, our friends helped us pick grapes, but the second year, they weren't interested anymore. I lost my friends because it's quite a chore. When you pick the grapes and they're ripe and the bunches are full of bees, honeybees and bumblebees, and a few wasps, but they're pretty well drunk on the nectar that they're taking out of the grape. So you got to be real careful and reach up in there slow, take your grape bunch out and slowly drop them in the basket, and you won't get stung if you do it slowly. From there, we take them to the back of the winery. We de-stem them and crush them and put them in the press. Now, if we want grape wine that has a real rich color to it, we leave the skins on it after it's crushed and ferment them with the skins on it, and it gives it that nice rich red color. And if we want like a rosé, we'll put them in the press and just use the juice, and the grape skins, they go to the side. We don't use them at all. We press that out. So that makes your rosé wines. And of course we have a white wine that's made with a certain type of grapes, and a Traminette is sort of a white wine. And again, I can't remember all of them. We have about 4 different varieties. And after it's fermented, in the fermentation, the new grapes don't take that long. They can usually ferment in a month, because they got the warmth to them and they got the right sweetness to them. After we ferment them, we'll take brick levels on them to see where the sugar content is on it, and go, when it gets to a certain level, then we'll take it out of the fermentation process and store them in another barrel for a while to get the greenness out of the grape, or the wine. And then we'll bottle it. We have to use all new bottles in grape making the wine. We can't use a used bottle. And we'll flush them out, and then we'll bottle them. From there we'll put the cork in them, and from that we put that sleeve over the top of the bottle, the neck of it, and heat shrink it to the bottle, and then we'll put the label on, and then it's ready to come out front. We go down to the pasture limit 2, pasture mark. Now those 3 wines are aged in an oak barrel from a distillery, and that gives it that oak flavor plus the charcoal plus the bourbon flavor to it, just a hint of it. And people really like it. Pasture Limit 2, which is a Concord grape aged in a oak barrel. It is our best seller, really. That and the Pasture Red, again, which is a Concord grape. It's a sweet wine, the Pasture Red, and the ladies really like it. That's our biggest seller for the ladies. Also, on some of our labels, we have farm experiences that causes us to make the labels. Like our Pasture Limit series, we had a half a barrel of wine we didn't want to sell that first year because it didn't taste right. So we got permission from the federal government to destroy it. And I took it over the hill, put it in the ditch, and here come my cows wanting to see what I was doing. So they got down in the creek, started tasting it. They decided they liked it, and when it was all gone, they got up out of the ditch and started stumbling around and carrying on and bouncing into each other. And my son happened to be out here on the sidewalk, and he seen that, and he said, "Oh my gosh, that'll make a good label." So that's how Pasture Limit label came about, and the label's got a cow on it upside down. So that's where that came from. And of course, the pasture mark has a cow behind a target, and that's why we're saying we hope it gets past the mark instead of the cow. My oldest son, Dan Jr., he's the one that makes the grape wine. He studied it. He got some information from Purdue University. He had a stack of books that was probably 3 feet tall, and also he went on the computer to learn how to make wine. And the amazing thing was, the very first year that he made wine, we put it in a competition in Indianapolis, and for the Traminette, we won Traminette Wine of the Year. And my goodness, that really made him happy because you know, it was the first year, and everything went great, and so we like to advertise the fact that we had the #1 Traminette Wine of the Year.
Well, we hope you like this special segment on WJTS in.form, spotlighting a local business, Monkey Hollow Winery, there in Fulda or St. Mindred. They do a great job of making wine, and make sure if you're out and you get the opportunity to taste some of their wine, it is excellent. Or stop by their place in either the St. Mindred, Fulda area, or in Ferdinand at the Wooleman House, as they have a tasting room there. Thanks to Monkey Hollow Winery. Thanks to Dan Hedinger Sr. for joining us on WJTS in.form for this Spotlight. I'm Bill Potter. Have a great evening.